But at the heart of this bad dream are the prisons themselves. I'm going inside the notorious PGV prison, home to criminal networks who not only control the prison system, but also the streets of Venezuela. Nowhere is the collapse of law and order in Venezuela more apparent than in its prisons. In a recent prison riot, inmates amassed enough firepower to hold off the army for a month. When the authorities finally gained control, they found grenades, submachine guns, and 45 kilos of cocaine. The prisons are lawless, guarded from the outside by the National Guard and run by the prisoners on the inside. Murders are frequent and go unpunished. Last year, 560 inmates were killed. I've been granted unprecedented access by the Don of this prison. He's an inmate called Leo who controls everything and everyone within this prison republic. Leo, can you tell me how many inmates there are in this prison?
Ahorita estamos con un próximo de 4.200 personas.
For many people outside of this country, they would be shocked to know that there are no prison guards inside here and that you ultimately control the security, the food, and virtually everything that goes on here is under the supervision of the inmates. Is that the way it's always worked in the prisons here?
No, todo era distinto. Antes la Guardia Nacional no estaba aquí adentro, pero sí pasaba en la mañana y en las tardes a pasar números, pues. Pero de un tiempo para acá, nosotros mismos tomamos el penal completo, sino que nos respeten nuestros espacios. Y eso viene hace como de 5 años para acá, que ya las autoridades no están aquí adentro en el penal, pero sí en su área de trabajo. Eso es así.
So those people carrying guns to protect themselves from other people inside here, or are they carrying them to protect themselves from the National Guard on the other side of the fence?
Bueno, mira, nosotros tenemos las armas. El sábado no, porque te estoy diciendo que el día de visita, pues. Hoy porque es un día de rutina, un día normal, así como cualquier día, pero hoy la tenemos, sí la tenemos en la mano, sí la tenemos para cuidarnos de las autoridades, porque hay muchas cosas que, bueno, han venido y nos han hasta masacrado, pero nosotros no hemos permitido eso, pues. ¿Me entiendes? Por eso que nosotros las tenemos. Y cualquier cosa, cualquier que se quiera volver loco o dar un cambio de gobierno, como dice aquí uno, entonces por eso que la tenemos, pues, para salvarnos de nuestras vidas.
Bearing in mind that 17,000 people were murdered in Venezuela last year, are you actually safer being here rather than outside?
Eso sí es verdad. Uno está más que cuidado aquí que en la calle, porque en la calle la inseguridad está demasiado desatada y entonces están matando a todos, pues.
There is little doubt that Leo is Caesar. He is surrounded by armed bodyguards. As with all leaders, there is always someone lurking in the shadows. After all, crime is big business. If someone is kidnapped in Venezuela, more often than not, the negotiations are handled by a crime boss doing time. This may appear like Disneyland for criminals, but your chances of survival here depends on 2 things: money and who you know. So just to explain now, with Leo, there is a prison within a prison. These people are the unwashed. These are the people that are not considered good enough to go beyond this point here. And I'm looking at the conditions there, and this is like leaving Switzerland, and we're just about to enter hell, Hades. Stepping into the untouchable side of the prison, I get a real sense of utter despair. The chemical smell of crack and the stench of rotting human effluent permeates the air. Most are unwell, malnourished, and some clearly have mental health problems. We've just come upstairs into the worst part of the prison. What's interesting for me now is his bodyguards have definitely got the weapons out, which is an indication to me is that this isn't the safe bit of the prison. To end up here These men have been deemed of no use to Leo's prison republic, or they have broken its strict rules. If they should try to gain access back to the other side, they would suffer a severe beating, or could even be killed.
Yo le estaba diciendo a él que esto, así por eso que huele muy hediondo ahorita, pues, que huele hediondo porque fuma mucho y la penetración, y como está el piso sucio, por eso que huele un mal olor aquí, pues.
And who makes the decision, Leo, that when someone comes into this prison, that they end up in this side rather than in the good side?
No, eso ya nosotros tenemos economizado. Los que no sirven, como nosotros lo llamamos en el ámbito de nosotros, que no sirven, que no pueden vivir con nosotros, los hombres serios, no, ya tienen que refugiarse para este lado. Nosotros tenemos una iglesia aquí al lado, una iglesia que ahí viven gente que, como de aquí, que se haga alguna cosa que no es individuo, lo meten hacia la iglesia, para que se medio renaje y se quede tranquilo, pues.
The conditions here are so appalling, it's impossible to imagine how bad the church must be. How many people would actually try to sleep in this place? And is that why many of them are sleeping now? Because they just can't sleep at night?
No se toman turno, duermen todos, pero duermen amorochados. Entonces, para que duerman tranquilos, tienen que guindar sus cosas arriba, pues.
It's like insects in cocoons, it's like butterflies in cocoons. They don't smell as sweet, unfortunately. The smell is something, you know, when you can smell rancid sewage. It's sewage that's not been able to float away or get away or be washed away. That's what this place stinks of. With no sanitation, human waste is simply thrown out through the bars, where it rots in the tropical heat. Leo, one question I have to ask is, how many of these people have actually been convicted, and how many are awaiting to be tried? And if they're waiting, how long have some of these people been waiting, and will they ever get out?
Eso es un proceso, ¿me entiendes? Eso es el proceso, porque ahí así como hay rematado, hay procesado. Entonces hay que esperar el juez, el abogado de él que le mueva sus trámites por allá por la calle para que lo puedan llamar para los tribunales, o que esté procesado, que le toque su beneficio, que se puede ir para la calle. Ese es el proceso de, bueno, no es todo, porque me voy a incluir yo porque estoy preso igual de todos.
Clearly, having money inside a prison helps. Obviously, these people here, they have nothing. I mean, how do they feed themselves? How do they survive here?
No, ellos sobreviven porque todo, aquí hay un comedor ahí que le hace la comida a toda la población y le traen su comida, le reparten su comida, porque no es porque tenga plata, no. Ellos están así porque el consumo de su químico y sus cosas lo lleva a esto, a lo que están ahorita por aquí, pues.
Where are you from?
Where we're from?
Yeah.
London. Where are you from?
London, Hollanda.
You're Netherlander. Pleased to meet you. How comes you are here?
6 years before.
6 years. How did you end up here?
For drugs.
Trafficking, yeah? You were sentenced for how long?
8 years.
What's it like?
Oh, very bad.
Hell?
It's in hell over here.
And how is your health? You're not well?
No, the embassy do nothing over here.
I mean, just tell me, what's your day-to-day existence like? I mean, do you get enough food?
Yes, do you know, I must work for my food.
You work for your food, so
yeah.
you fix things and then you get food, yeah?
Yeah. And I do never again.
You'll never do it again?
No.
What were you trying to traffic? What drugs were you taking?
Cocaine.
Cocaine, yeah? Where were you taking it to? To Amsterdam?
Yes.
Yeah. How old were you then?
20 years. I'm a child.
You're a child. You're not a child anymore, though, are you?
No, not anymore, but when I was 20 years.
And what are your family? How do your family feel?
I call my family much.
But when you can.
They send me money.
Yeah.
Clothes, shoes.
Yeah.
What I need. But I need the embassy to bring me outside.
Thank you very much. Eh?
Thank you.
God bless. I thought the prison that I entered originally was pretty appalling, but I was not prepared for what I've just witnessed. Hugo Chavez himself said that the prisons in Venezuela were the gateway to the fifth circle of hell. The people in there have no hope, and literally, they're just waiting to die. It's impossible to list the number of human rights violations I've witnessed in this prison. It's highly questionable how anyone can be rehabilitated or could ever be part of normal society should they ever be released. It's not surprising this prison often erupts into violence, as there are all types of weapons and plenty of narcotics. And you see this all over the prison, basically. You know, it's crack cocaine here and powdered cocaine, and marijuana, and you can you buy it off him, and you can even use his pipe to smoke it. The main business here is selling drugs. At the weekend, prison visitors can buy any amount they want and take it back outside with little fear of being searched by the guards. It's rumoured that some of the guards are either in on the deal or they're too terrified to stop it happening. So in my hand is some crack. That's $1.20. So it's around about 50, 60, 70 pence. And marijuana, it's about £2 for that. But apparently it's incredibly strong stuff. Not that I'm about to find out, because I'm too paranoid already. Leo's cell is luxurious and confirms who has ultimate power in this prison. We know that President Chavez has put millions and millions of dollars into the prison system, but it's been up to you guys, the inmates, to improve the prisons here. That money seems to never have arrived. That down to the people that work for him. Do you think that the people that should have instigated the changes here should be held to account?
Mira, una de las cosas que uno se viene viendo hace mucho tiempo, que el presidente Chávez siempre da para la humanización en las cárceles, pero ya son cosas que lo que tiene a la costilla, que cónchale, él tiene que poner punto en el asunto, porque en realidad si todo lo que tú viste aquí, eso nos sale de nuestro bolsillo y del aporte que pone cada uno de internos, 20 bolívares semanal para tener nuestro penal, porque mientras que estemos viviendo aquí, es nosotros.
You'll be getting out of here in a year's time. You have a little baby on the way. You already have 2 other children. While you're in here, you're very much protected out on the streets. It's not going to be so easy to protect you. Are you worried about being hurt when you leave here? And also, do you think you may have to return to prison?
Bueno, el día que me vaya para la calle, eso es que tengo que reintegrarme en la sociedad, que yo estoy dispuesto a reintegrarme en la sociedad. No estar, cónchale, no me quiero ser carne de prisillo, como dice uno. Y de regresar aquí a este lugar, cónchale, no lo voy a decir que nunca, que no, porque uno no sabe cuándo le vuelve a pasar otra cosa a uno y uno tiene que volver a pagar a delito lo que está, pero quiero rehacer mi vida en la calle y estar tranquilo y olvidarme de muchas cosas, porque son casi 10 años presos, privado de libertad. De los 18 años presos no he disfrutado nada, y si Dios me da vida bastante para disfrutar en la calle, lo voy a disfrutar. Y si Dios me tiene resguardado aquí es por algo. Propósito más adelante me tiene Dios, y bueno, y estoy capacitado para presentar ese propósito que me tiene Dios en la calle.
Blind faith may help, but to survive here, you have to become part of the system and all that entails, which ultimately means committing crimes against others and the state. So far, I've witnessed a police force under pressure, a hospital trying to cope, and a failed prison system. Yet despite all this, Hugo Chavez is still regarded by his people as a champion of the poor and has unrivaled popularity.